Hey everybody in the FFBE Global Facebook group. Welcome to this week's Ask an Old Mog video, and hello to everybody who sees this video on YouTube as well. We're here with a question that comes from somebody in the FFBE Global Facebook group about one of my favorite topics to talk about in the game, and that's Clash of Wills. And since guess what, Clash of Wills is going on, just opened up yesterday, I think it's a perfect time to talk about it. So let's get into it. So our question that we're getting today is, it's my first time to play Clash of Wills. How do I identify units that are good for Clash of Wills? What skills do they need to possess? I think it's a great question. And my answer to anytime we have a question that's like, what do I need to build my unit for? Or what do I need for X such and such? It's always, it depends. There's a lot of things that are going to play a factor in having a winning team for Clash of Wills. But there are definitely some things that you want to keep an eye out for, and the most important one of those things is morale. So when you look at a unit in the game, you can see their skills that they have, and what you're going to find is that some units have skills that utilize a special mechanic in Clash of Wills called the morale gauge, or just we call them morale skills. And these are skills that either increase your morale that you have available to you, or they do their damage based on how much morale you have, or some other benefit to them based on how much morale you have. And these are designated in the game as skills with a white square around them, so the border is white. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of these. The important thing to note is these skills, some of them are usable outside of Clash of Wills, but the benefits provided by them that are strictly based on morale are only available in Clash of Wills. And sometimes the skills are not available anywhere except Clash of Wills, and there's a couple of different examples of this I'm going to show you now. So, here's my Clash of Wills setup here. I have not even cleared the top level yet. I was busy tonight, so I didn't get a chance to work on it. But I'm going to go ahead and go into my team. And I've got a couple units I'm going to look at here. I've got Tidebringer Kaito, who's right here, and I've got White Dragon Ling. Let's take a look at Ling first. And if I click on her a couple times and go to special to see all of her skills, I'm going to show you a couple of differences. So if you see this skill here where it says Blithe Step, it has this really shiny, pretty white border around it, and it says it fills the morale gauge. If I click on it, I can see what it does is it fills the morale gauge 650 points, and that's pretty cool. You're going to pretty much be doing that all the time with Ling if you've got her in your party, if you can. And she has got another one here, Moving Dance, same thing, right? So if I click on it, it's going to fill the LB gauge for herself, give morale 50 points, and do some other stuff as well. So you can use Moving Dance outside of Clash of Wills, but this morale fill is only going to happen inside Clash of Wills. Let's take a look at an example of a skill that she has that is strictly only available in Clash of Wills, though, and that's Blithe Step. Since all it does is morale fill, it doesn't do anything else. That skill, when you go into a regular fight that's not Clash of Wills, it's just going to be grayed out, so it's just not even available. Some other ones that she has that are like that are School of the Phoenix and School of the Dragon. Those each give a special skill, Dance of Revival or Dance of Ferocity, and those skills just will not appear on your skills, your skill list, because they are keyed off of how much morale you have, and they just won't appear if you don't have enough morale. And outside of Clash of Wills, you don't have any morale, so there you go. Those skills will just simply not be there. And you can contrast that with a skill like Enthrall here. Notice it does not have the shiny white border, so that skill's always available to her, and it doesn't get any bonus effects. Okay, so there's that. That's a good example. Let's take a look at Kaito. The new Kaito came out. He's again got these skills that are available that are keyed off of morale. That's got this white border. Compare that to this one that doesn't have the white border, right? And again, similarly, some of these skills just don't appear on his list if you are not in Clash of Wills. Where is the one that I'm thinking of? In fact, it doesn't even show up here because it's not on here. Let's see here. Torrential Technique. Yes, Torrential Devastation. It is just not available unless you are in Clash of Wills, because it's based on how much morale gauge you have to have. You have to have higher than 0% in order for this to even appear. It's just not there. So he won't even have it. Whereas Deep Submersion, he always will, but you won't get the added bonus effects of the morale. So it does bonus damage based on morale, as long as you're within this range. Okay. Let's take one more look at somebody who's got morale scaling, and that's going to be Sky. Sky's Shifted Limit Burst. It does LB damage boost. It does, accuracy down. It does damage with a damage boost up to this much, right? But if you look at the bottom, it does bonus damage based on morale. So, yeah, outside of Clash of Wills, if you use this ability, you do get all this other stuff. But inside Clash of Wills, you get this bonus damage, so it just becomes ridiculously powerful inside of Clash of Wills. And so that's what we're talking about, right? So some of these skills and Limit Burst, they get bonus effects based on how much morale you have, and that's why it's very important to influence your morale with skills like Blithe Step. A lot of Kaito's skills like fill the morale gauge. Roberta's Roar fills up the gauge, and so there's lots of ways to kind of fill that up, and you want to have your morale as high as possible for that reason. So let's take a look at some other things though that are going to be very important when it comes to getting a good score, because morale is one of those things. If you look on my list here, number 5, maximum morale gained in a fight is one of the score criteria. So in addition to just increasing the effects of all of your skills in Clash of Wills, those morale skills, the ones that give you morale, are important to getting a high score. And like Dark Visions, you also want to do a maximum amount of damage in one turn. You want to have a number of effective attacks, which means hitting the boss's elemental weakness or something that you make it weak to. You want to clear it quickly, so within 10 turns if you can, to get a maximum score. Have a 100, a chain that is 100 or more hits, and then also fill up that morale. And then finally, the 6th thing is that you can add the modifiers to Clash of Wills to increase your score to go for that rank 1. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, maybe you've seen this, but we'll go ahead and go into a scoring just to kind of show it to you. And we'll go into the ranking. We'll just grab somebody who's rank 1. Okay. So if you see, they've got maximum score, 30,000 points for this, 10,000 for this, 10,000 for this, 10,000 for this, 30,000 for this. And they had all of these modifiers turned on for a 300% bonus. And that's how they got a rank 1 score. And everybody who does that can have rank 1. So there's lots of players with rank 1 you can see who have that. People who have just been able to work on it and get it done. So it's very important to, focus your team around having as many of these morale units as possible, and as having as many EX levels as possible, and max out the skills, get the bar really filled up, and then your morale skills become very powerful. A couple other things to think about though, when it comes to what you might need to survive a Clash of Wills. So almost always, you're talking about having resistance to the elemental attacks that the boss does, so that you just don't get wiped out. Usually having a really good tank, either physical or magical, based on the fight, very important. Resistance to the status ailments that the boss does. This can either be from skills that you use or gear and equipment that you put on. Buffs to your killer damage, again, either from equipable gear and abilities, or, as often is the case, skills that boost your damage against certain killers. Mitigation skills for your tank that are going to give physical, magical, general, and racial mitigations to make sure that they take as little damage as possible so they can keep on doing the tanking for you. Stat buff skills, although this is less important because in Clash of Wills, as you fill the morale gauge, you get access to buff skills that the morale gauge just lets you do for free. And then skills that boost your modifiers to increase your damage, like Tyvus' Spirit for limit burst damage dealers, in particular Sky. And then there's always random things that are unique to a fight. So like this month's Clash of Wills, because Kaito is new, Kaito has a couple of skills that are really, really useful on the threshold. Like once you pass 50%, because the boss does some really nasty buffs on itself, and his special thing is that he can remove the duration of those buffs. Not necessarily dispel them, but he can make them go away very fast. And that's kind of his special thing, and so it's unique to this fight and very useful. Other examples of this have been things like on the Osta fight, for example, it did a lot of wind damage, so Sky wanted to wear her helmet that makes her absorb wind damage. Very useful for her. the last month, the staff that made everybody resistance to heal from ailment attacks, the status attacks, was very useful and in fact necessary in the early week of the first week of the fight before they fixed it. And so there's always little things that just make the fights easier if you have them. But in general, those things up at the top are very important for any team, depending on how hard that boss is and what it does. So hopefully that's helpful to think about. Morale is like the most important thing when it comes to Clash of Wills. Having that really high morale skill, and being able to identify units that do morale. Anything to do with morale is very important. So we always want to look and see in the skill descriptions if it says the word morale. It's available for Clash of Wills, and most of those skills, or actually all those skills that influence or utilize morale, have the white border around them. The exception of that is limit bursts. Because they're limit bursts, they don't have the white border. But again, you're going to click on the skill description and see, what is does it say morale bonus damage in it, or has special effects from morale? Like Maeve is another example of a unit that does not necessarily do damage based on morale, but the amount of HP barrier that she can give the whole party based on your morale score is going to change. So it's very, very useful to have a very high morale score, which you need anyway, because that's part of the scoring events for Clash of Wills. So there it is, morale. What units do you need to get ready for Clash of Wills? Morale. I'd love to see in the comments, obviously there's going to be favorites like Skye. But what are some of the morale skills and the morale units that you really like to bring to Clash of Wills in general when you are setting your team up? So I want to see some comments below that are going to maybe help some players who haven't identified what those are yet. And I don't want to just list them all off. I want to get everybody involved. Throw out your ideas of favorite Clash of Wills units and favorite morale units so that people who see the comments can see below what your favorites are. I just showed you a whole bunch of mine when I showed you my party, so hopefully you were paying attention. Go back and watch it again if you need to. But yeah, if you've got questions about this or any other topic or any other video that you've seen, let me know in the comments as well. And if you've got a question you want to see in next week's video, be sure to let me know. And we'll do everything we can to put it together in a visual format. But that's all I've got for right now. So hopefully your Clash of Wills is going great. Hopefully this helps you do well in Clash of Wills now and in the future. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.